If you're trying Final Fantasy Tactics for the first time, or maybe returning for the new Ivalice Chronicles Remaster, this Ultimate Beginner Guide is the perfect video for you. In this video, we'll explain jobs and how JP works for progressing and unlocking new abilities, plus the best beginner jobs and skills to pick early, how to dominate combat with terrain and height advantages, the best team compositions, and much more to help you succeed in Final Fantasy Tactics. But let's jump straight into tip number 1, which is understanding the job aka class system in this game. So in Final Fantasy Tactics, jobs are essentially classes, and the way you unlock your new skills, called abilities. Every unit in the game starts out as a base job as either the Squire or the Chemist. Squires have a more physical damage approach to combat, while the Chemist is the starting job for players looking to cast spells, either offensively or defensively. What's interesting about the job system in FFT is you have different ability slots, which can then transfer as you progress through other jobs. Your build is going to consist of your primary abilities, which are included with the current job, plus secondary abilities that you get from any previous job, including reaction, support, and even movement skills. This allows you to level up as specific jobs to find that one great ability that complements your build throughout the game. A simple example of this would be using the Thief job to gain access to the Move +2 ability. While your character might not stay as the Thief job forever, using this ability means you can get that movement on any jobs thereafter. Now keep in mind you can only slot one reaction, one support, and one extra movement ability. The game does allow you to swap these out in between fights. More on this later, but you can have a power leveling grinding support ability like JP boost and swap to something for more offensive or defensive when any major story battle is about to happen. So keep in mind with jobs, the overall goal isn't to just jump to the next job as soon as it becomes available. It's to slowly and methodically progress, carefully planning out your build, and choosing the best abilities to complement that build all along the way. Tip number 2 has to do with job points and faster progression. So in Final Fantasy Tactics, when you use any ability, you earn job points, or JP as they're known. This is going to be a separate progression system from experience, which will help you level your job. So as you gain JP, you gain the ability to purchase new abilities. Where the challenge comes in is you can actually select any ability that you want. It's not linear. You can jump around. You could take a bunch of low-cost abilities at first, or you could save up for an ultra-high-cost, more effective ability. Now, oftentimes you won't know which is best, so I do recommend reading through some guides for your particular job or build that you are looking to create. We have several of those on our website, hacktheminotaur.com, if you want to check those out. But the main tip here is how to get JP points quicker, and that's through an ability called JP Boost. This is going to be a support skill that you learn from the Squire job, the most basic job in the game. This ability nearly doubles your JP experience gain, essentially making you fly through new abilities and helping you to master those jobs more quickly. It's so good, in fact, that you should start most units as a Squire just to get the JP boost ability before advancing them on to more advanced job. But this moves us on how to power level your jobs. So in Final Fantasy Tactics, you earn JP anytime that you take an action. Not just attacking enemy units in general, but doing any action will earn you some job point progression. So to power level those job points, you want all of your units to have some type of action that they can take each and every turn, even if they're not attacking another target. Squires, for example, have the Focus ability. This ability boosts your stats, and you can always do it. It doesn't require a target. Throwing rocks is another one where if you're not in melee range, you can still attack a target at a distance and earn some job points during that round. Chemists, of course, have items. You can throw potions. And again, making sure that every unit has something to do, even if they're not attacking, will help you level those jobs and earn new abilities even faster. Tip number 3 is an actual grind location that you can use in the first act of the game. So you can use this strategy. That is the Mandalia Plains, and it's right outside of the first town, Carolyn Magic City. Basically, as soon as you clear the story mission from this zone, you can go back to it and you can trigger a random combat encounter again. This will usually include a few random enemies like bandits, chocobos, that you can then just grind and use those abilities that we talked about every turn to level up your job points. FFT is definitely a challenging game, so if you do this early on, it will make the later story quest battles a lot easier. Tip number 4 is more about abilities and specifically finding reaction abilities for all of your units and making sure you have those equipped. Reaction skills are essentially those that automatically trigger a response when something happens to your character. An example of this would be counter tackle from the Squire. This can actually do a lot of damage early on and outright kill enemies who attacked your character. But the best reaction ability, maybe of all, and one of the best skills in the game overall, is one called Auto Potion, which is available from the Chemist job. As the name implies here, you take a potion automatically when you receive damage. This isn't a 100% chance, but it does happen frequently enough where you auto-heal yourself to make combat so much easier. And if this wasn't good enough by itself, you can use better and more powerful potions as you progress through other chapters. X potions, for example, healing for 150 HP, allowing you to heal massively, unless your character gets outright one-shot, which probably won't happen. So again, make sure you fill out your abilities early on, not just damage-dealing skills, but reaction abilities like counter tackle and auto potion from the Chemist. Tip number 5 is not to rush into advanced jobs, but to prioritize your starting jobs instead. That's because your 2 starting jobs in Final Fantasy Tactics, both the Squire and the Chemist, aren't as weak as they appear at first glance. The Chemist, in fact, is actually one of the best jobs in Final Fantasy Tactics to use powerful items, including potions, Phoenix Down, cures, and more. Phoenix Down is especially important so that you can revive players during battle. Not only that, but as you advance these characters into more spellcasting roles, you're likely to run out of MP very quickly, so the Ether ability restores that MP, helping you maintain spellcasting throughout fights. With the Chemist, you can even learn Throw item, which allows you to throw Phoenix Downs at range for an even easier time reviving down characters. Next up, let's talk about party balance, which is one of the hardest things to do in Final Fantasy Tactics. Early on, we recommend that you have at least 2 to 3 party members that have access to those items that we just talked about, so you can easily heal and revive down characters. Obviously, you'll need some damage dealers as well. Melee damage dealers tend to do best overall. So let's say 1 to 2 support characters starting off as chemists, and then further leveling up into White Mage or Time Mage jobs. 2 melee characters on your team starting as Squire, and then moving to the Knight job if you want more of a tank-focused build, or a monk if you want more of a self-sustaining damage dealer that can also heal and revive as well. The 5th option on your team is flexible and can be completely up to you. You could have a black mage, for example, for more AoE damage, but definitely consider a thief for this position as they can steal useful items in specific fights. Then you can eventually progress that thief into the ninja job so that you can steal items on demand, but also have another powerful damage-dealing character on your squad. By the way, we have a full guide on party composition over on the website. I'll make sure to link that down below as well. Tip number 7 has more to do with combat, specifically terrain, height, and positioning. That's because Final Fantasy Tactics gives you an attack advantage if your character has higher ground, but also penalties for being on lower ground. So that in mind, you want to consider the terrain of every fight that you get into. Not only do you want to consider height, but also the angle of attack. Basically, you always want to attack from the side or from behind an enemy if possible, as these positions can reward your character with higher hit chance or even more damage. And do not forget that at the end of a character's turn, you can also position them for defense. So make sure that they are facing towards an enemy line and not facing with their backs to the enemy. Finally, make sure not to stack your units tightly together because AoE damage dealers can nuke your entire team if your units are too close together. Spread out, attack from the sides, and try to get as much tactical advantage on the battlefield as possible. Our next combat tip has to do with checking the turn order, which is a new user interface option in the Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles Remaster. This is going to be seen on the left-hand side of the screen, where you see a turn order listed. This is going to be helpful for planning your attacks and spells. Faster units like ninjas and thieves will typically go first in the turn order due to their high speed. However, you don't want to just charge into combat without support, so check the turn order and see which enemies are next. Keep in mind also that during your turn, you can put the cursor on an enemy to see exactly how far they can advance in terms of tiles. Those will appear as red, whereas your character's movement tiles are blue. So at the beginning of a fight, you may want to advance just far enough so that you're outside the enemy's melee range, not too far into it where you're going to get swarmed. Don't forget you can also use the new tactical view, which is basically an overhead view of tiles, and this does help a lot. when figuring out your positions. If there's line of sight issues, things like houses or hills that are blocking your field of view, you'll be able to see those better in the tactical view. But the turn order option is so helpful now, especially if you have spellcasters on your team. For example, you can target a unit specifically and see now if your cast time or charge time is going to complete before that enemy unit has their turn. This is going to be the difference between connecting and pulling off big damage with that AoE nuke spell or completely missing as the enemy moves out of range. Our next tip has to do with Perma Death, which is going to happen to your units in combat after they reach 0 HP. Now, it doesn't happen right away, luckily. They do have a countdown timer over their head, and usually after 3 turns or so, you will no longer be able to revive them. Enemy units have the same thing, by the way. After 3 turns of being down, they'll turn either into a chest, which you can loot, or a crystal that you can use to restore resources. But the main thing here is you must revive your units before 3 turns are up, or you're going to lose that party member for good. There is permadeath in Final Fantasy Tactics. So just like we went over in the skills section, make sure you have multiple characters who can revive either through abilities or through items, ideally at range, so you can revive those characters before they go down for good. Our last tip here has to do with builds, and as you already seen with Final Fantasy Tactics, builds can be quite complex as you progress a character from multiple jobs, one to the other. Now, we do have build guides for every job and role over on our website. I'll have that link down below if you want to check this out in more detail. But for the purposes of this video, we wanted to showcase some of the best build options to help you get started. In terms of damage dealing melee characters, you're going to want to focus on Monk and Ninja. You want to unlock dual wield support with Ninja as a secondary ability. That way you're retaining the Monk's massive HP damage dealing potential. In terms of spellcasters, AoE damage, you want to start with Chemist, moving them into the Black Mage job. You can stick with this combo the entire game. Just make sure that you have the Chemist item abilities unlocked first, including Throw item for tougher fights, where you might need to heal other characters. Another extremely powerful spellcaster at late game is going to be the Summoner and Time Mage. These are similar to the Black Mage, but do bigger AoE damage without as much friendly fire. The Summoner is great to combine with Time Mage for debuffs and buffs for your party. For a support build, you're going to want to go with White Mage and Time Mage, which we mentioned. This is a pure support class focused on spell casting. You can also go with Chemist and Time Mage for more of a hybrid support class. You can do the instant revives with the Phoenix Down and thrown items, so this is a really nice option too. And then we also mentioned this one earlier, but a utility build that's very helpful is Thief combined with Ninja. Great combo here for stealing items, but also having some very good damage via the Ninja job. But that's going to wrap it up for this video in terms of beginner tips for Final Fantasy Tactics. As we mentioned, check out the links below for the website. Over there, we've got tons of guides, including the best jobs, the best builds, best party composition, and lots more. Expect to see more guides on the YouTube channel as well, so if you want to see those, make sure to hit like, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you around in the next video.